Welcome into another bonus live show of the PFF College Football Show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton, Wasserman here. And the reason why we're doing an extra live show this week is because we've officially hit the midway point of the 2025 college football season. And Dalton, we're going to give out midseason awards and also give out the PFF midseason All-American team, too.
Absolutely. So many great players and great stories to talk about. Max, can we just do one thing and thank the fans for getting us to 30,000 subscribers this week?
Yep.
That's honestly the best thing that I've seen this week. Eli's in the back there with a raucous applause, one-man applause back there. And if you're in the chat, honestly, throw a thank you to Eli, because for as much as we do up here, that guy works a whole hell of a lot harder than we do. So if you can just send Eli your appreciation in the chat live, whether you're watching this live or afterwards, he's really the guy, the captain that makes this thing happen.
Give W's in the chat for Eli, and also give L's in the chat for you, Dalton. Andrew Harbaugh already in the chat saying, hello only to Max. Dalton does not get a hello because he killed the parlay this week.
I just did not expect a million quarterback injuries for Sam Houston finishing their game down to their third string. That's just a cursed one right there.
Yeah.
To have not only your starter get hurt, but your backup too, and they're trying to finish this game no matter who you're playing with a third string quarterback. That's when I just have to take on the chin, man. Injury luck is what it is.
So L's for you, Dalton. Also L's for me, because apparently the shirt I'm wearing right now makes me look shirtless. It actually does make me look shirtless right now on the screen.
Well,
I did not think this through.
That just means you need a tan. He did a bad job over the
I'm wearing
summer.
my birthday suit to celebrate 30K is what I'm doing right now on the show.
Wow. That's impressive right there. That is, it just looks like a big square tattoo on
It does. It actually does. I did not even, I guess it makes me, I guess my skin is pinker than I thought it was. So
yeah,
that's
you
tough.
got it. Next summer, you got to do a better job, man.
Yeah, I got to get better
You
tan.
slacked off this summer with the tan life.
I went to Ireland, so they're not very tan over in Ireland, and the sun's not out that much in Ireland. It's a lot of just rainy clouds, all that.
All right, so next year it's 3 weeks in Florida.
That's what needs to happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That's what needs to happen. So
we'll
my bad on the shirt this week, guys. But again, thank you guys for 30K. That is truly an incredible honor for us. We did not think we were getting anything close to this quickly in this show. So you guys have been incredible to us so far. So thank you guys. And also want to remind you guys too that we have a 25% off promo code right now for PFF Plus. PFFCFB25 is that promo code right now to get 25% off PFF Plus. The same data, grades, insights that have been very controversial this week, but also I think are very valuable still to the football landscape, and the same insights and data that I use to make these midseason awards and All-American team this week too. Again, 25% off right now. Use the promo code PFFCFB25 to get access to that, and also access to our fantasy football tools and betting tools on the planet. And also, yes, feed us, please, the kids. Because we're still winning that competition right now, actually, Dalton. We have a pretty decent lead right now, but it doesn't mean that the other shows cannot come back and take the lead from us. So please keep using that promo code, because we really do appreciate it. All right, let's. What do you want to do? The midseason All-American team first?
Let's do that. Let's go. Let's get a whole roster going of just excellent players here.
Absolutely. All right, let's do it. The midseason PFF All-American team at quarterback. Bunch of different options that we could have gone with here, but we're going to go with the highest graded passer in college football. That is Julian Sayin, the quarterback from Ohio State, the number one team in the country right now. Ahmad Hardy, the running back at Missouri, is our first team running back. Mackay Lemon at wide receiver. Mario Craver at wide receiver from Texas A&M. Michael Trigg, the tight end from Baylor, is our first team tight end. And Hake Beatty is our flex, the wide receiver from Illinois. Dalton, you want to talk about anything there? Just running through the entire team.
I mean, just a star-studded group right there. I mean, you mentioned it, the quarterback competition. I can't even imagine having to narrow this part down to one, because there's been so many guys who have played so well. Obviously, Dante Moore had the one down game against Indiana. Fernando Mendoza's been really good. Carson Beck's obviously been outstanding. There's so many guys who have played. Jaden Mayava, also for USC. Mackay Lemon's quarterback has been outstanding. Big game against Notre Dame this week. So I can't imagine narrowing down the quarterbacks. And then I think a guy that needs to be really appreciated here, and because we came into this season with some ideas about what Texas A&M's offense was going to look like, and run heavy, and Le'Veon Moss and Marcel Reed, but it's actually been their passing game. Mario Craver has been outstanding. KC Concepcion as well. They're a high-flying offensive unit, and they're a lot more two-dimensional than we thought. This is a well-deserved spot for Craver, who I believe is the second highest graded as far as receiving grade goes, behind Mackay Lemon. He's just been outstanding this year. Another superstar that we have, and it feels like you probably had maybe maybe not as hard a time narrowing down the wide receivers, but man, there's been a lot of good ones this year.
It was actually really hard for the flex spot because Hank Beatty I went with, but also Elijah Surratt was another guy I really considered for that one too. But I went with Hank Beatty ultimately. But yeah, Mario Craver, we won't talk about him in the award segment. We'll talk about literally everyone else on that slide right there in the award segment. But Mario Craver, second best PFF grade among all receivers in the country, only behind Mackay Lemon. Second most receiving yards in the Power 4, again, only behind Mackay Lemon. He averages 4.8 yards per route run right now. That's the most among all Power 4 receivers. So, yeah, Mario Craver is having an outstanding true sophomore year. We had a feeling that we would have a bunch of true sophomore receivers have outstanding years like Jeremiah Smith, like Ryan Williams, like Cam Coleman, like Bryant Wesco. Bunch of different guys. And, yes, they've still been really good this year, but Mario Craver has really kind of emerged this year and become one of the best receivers in college football. And he's another one in the 2027 wide receiver class that could be an all-timer, honestly.
Yeah, we just get more of them every single week, it feels like. That 2027 class, especially with receivers, it's going to be ridiculous, and he's squarely in that mix.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to, of course, our favorite thing here at PFF, the first-team offensive line for our All-American team. At left tackle, we got Carter Smith from Indiana, who's had an unbelievable year so far. Olai Vavenga Ioane, the guard from Penn State. Logan Jones, the center from Iowa. At right guard, we got Logan Taylor from Boston College. And at right tackle is Brian Parker, the right tackle from Duke. Dalton, what do you want to talk about there in the offensive line segment?
You know, obviously, Logan Jones in that Iowa offensive line is going to be in the spotlight a lot today. But a guy that I want to point out is Brian Parker, the right tackle for Duke. He has just been outstanding. How about a 94 run blocking grade through the first half of the season so far? And I mentioned to you earlier this week in our Duke-Georgia Tech preview that Duke's running game has really gotten going, and it was more a matter of finding the right back with the young true freshman Nate Shepard running behind him with the explosiveness. But the holes have been there all year behind Brian Parker and Duke's offensive line. It's really become a school the last few years that has become a little bit of one of the offensive line factories. Some really great players, obviously, most notably Graham Barton, the starting center for Tampa Bay. But Brian Parker, especially in the run game, looks like an NFL player right now. The veteran guy in that group at right tackle, leading this unit to a more balanced attack that's led to Duke's 3-game winning streak and such a massive matchup against Georgia Tech this week that could set the course for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the highest graded offensive lineman in the country right now. We'll talk about him later on in the award segment too. I'll talk about Ioane, the guard from Penn State, who a lot of people have as maybe a first-round pick now in the NFL draft. He has a 92 pass blocking grade this year, the best among all guards in the country. Only one pressure allowed on 170 pass blocking snaps. Also 12th among all guards in the country in run blocking grade this year too. So this is a guy who I had as a top 10 guard in the country, top 10 interior offensive lineman, I should say, in the country going into the year. And he's proved me right so far. It's one of the only bright spots I could talk about for my Penn State Indy Lions so far, Dalton, but Ioane has been as good as advertised this year.
No, absolutely. And look, that Penn State offensive line moving forward is still something hopefully you look towards to get some offensive production. They're certainly, without Drew Aller, probably going to base a lot of it around the run game, but you get to run behind him and Drew Shelton and those guys up front. You still got a shot to have some offensive success, but it's going to be a lot more tailored to the run game. But Ioane has been fantastic this year.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the first team defense for PFF. Start off with the front seven. At D tackle, we got Mateen Ibaragba from Wake Forest, has been outstanding this year. Caden McDonald from Ohio State, also at D tackle. Of course, our guy Rueben Bain Jr. from Miami at edge rusher. David Bailey, could have gone with either Texas Tech edge rusher here. We went with David Bailey. Had to go with the Texas Tech linebacker, though. That is Jacob Rodriguez. And also at linebacker, we got C.J. Allen from Georgia, who's been outstanding this year too, Dalton. What do you want to shout out there in the front seven segment?
Oh, you know I got to get into Texas Tech, both of these guys. David Bailey, for as much as Rueben Bain is doing, and he's been the best defensive player in the country, especially as a pass rusher, David Bailey's right behind him. And he was outstanding at Stanford last year, and he's turned up his game on a more loaded unit this year at Texas Tech. That edge duo of David Bailey and Romello Height right now is absolutely unstoppable. In the Big 12, I don't know what the answer is, especially after what you saw them do to Utah, a team that we figured had the best offensive line in the conference. Unbelievable stuff from their defensive line. And then Jacob Rodriguez, it feels like I talk about this guy every week, but highest graded linebacker in college football, constantly around the football, interceptions, forced fumbles, tackling machine, such great eyes to read opposing offenses and get where he needs to be. These two guys, I mean, it's a star-studded Texas Tech Tech defense, and I'm glad you got both of these guys. And you're right, if you didn't have Rueben Bain in there as an obvious choice, it has to be here. Boy, Romello Height might be right because he's right there also right behind it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what this Texas Tech front seven is doing and just dominating every single week.
Yeah, if we did a second and third team, which we might do at the end of the season, but second team would start off with Romello Height at edge rusher. Like, that guy has been unbelievable for them this year, too. I want to shout out Ibaragba from Wake Forest. It seems like he's rising up draft boards right now, Dalton, and for good reason right now. 87.3 PFF grade. It's second among all D tackles in the country. 18 pressures so far this year. Leads all D tackles in the Power 4. 85.8 run defense grade this year. 11th in the country, too. So Ibaragba for Wake Forest has been a force in the middle of their defensive line, and I would say right now he has been the best D tackle in the country.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I even think the other defensive tackle there, Caden McDonald, deserves a shout because, so much of Ohio State, and honestly, if you had Romello Height third, you might have Caden Curry from Ohio State fourth on that edge list, but Caden McDonald has been a brick wall. You talk about filling in that Tyleek Williams role, a guy who went in the first round with the Detroit Lions now, highest graded run defender among qualified defensive tackles. Excellent work that D-line is doing, because that was maybe our biggest question about Ohio State on the entire team is, can they replace all four of those guys that got drafted on the D-line? That unit as a whole looks fantastic. Glad they're represented here, at least with one of those guys, because they've all been terrific.
I could have gone with Arvell Reese. I'm sure a lot of Ohio State fans in the comment section would be very upset he's not on this list. He would have been probably second-team linebacker for me. Went with C.J. Allen over him, though, because C.J. Allen is the second-best PFF grade among all Power 4 linebackers this year. 3 sacks also for C.J. Allen this year, too. 92.3 run defense grade. He has been a terrific downhill player for that Georgia linebacker unit so far. But that wraps up our front seven for the defense. Go to the secondary for the defense. We got Mansour Delane at corner, Leonard Moore at corner, Bishop Fitzgerald from USC at safety, Michael Taff also at safety, and at flex, we got Jalen Husky from Maryland. What do you want to shout out there, Dalton, in the secondary?
You know what? How about Jalen Husky and the Terps and the little mini turnaround they've had? And imagine how we'd be talking about that team if, I know they've lost 2 heartbreakers to Washington and Nebraska the last couple weeks, but the true freshman quarterback, obviously Malik Washington, is somebody we're going to talk about a lot over the next couple years. But Jalen Husky and this secondary leading the nation in interceptions, 12 interceptions as a unit this year. And we highlighted him in the preseason as their most flexible guy, an experienced guy back there at safety who can do basically anything you want him to do, slot, box, free safety. He really sets the tone in that secondary, and that's been a huge reason, not just the improvement at quarterback, that's going to get all the spotlight, but this Maryland secondary is a dangerous unit, and they've been playing well all season.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out Leonard Moore. Has been phenomenal so far this year. He entered the year as my number 1 corner in the country, has the highest coverage grade among all corners in the Power 4 right now. We might see him against our first-team All-American receiver, Mekhi Lemon, this weekend, because Marcus Freeman did say that Leonard Moore, even though he plays predominantly on the outside, he might be playing a little bit in the slot this week against Mekhi Lemon, so that should be a must-see matchup if that does happen. And speaking of USC, Bishop Fitzgerald, man, what a revelation this guy has been so far this year. Highest graded safety in college football, 91.7. 5 interceptions and only 5 allowed catches so far this year. So Bishop Fitzgerald has been an incredible free safety for that USC defense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you talk about that USC defense, and look, he's going to be, him and Kamari Ramsey back there at safety are going to be a huge part of tomorrow's game against Notre Dame, right? If you're going to hold down that explosive offense, that's the best part of their team is that pair of safeties. Fitzgerald's obviously, he's with the 5 interceptions, he's just been fantastic this year on the back end. They need a little work still in the front 7, but USC's secondary, especially down the middle of the field, tough to deal with.
If you told me that I would have a first-team All-American safety from USC, I would have told you, oh yeah, Kamari Ramsey, obviously. And no, it's been Bishop Fitzgerald so far. Ramsey's still been pretty good too, but Bishop Fitzgerald's really come out of nowhere, it feels like, this year. And shout out to Andrew Harbaugh in the chat, because he did say Admiral Bishop Fitzgerald. I don't know if he's watched Stock Exchange this past week, but they shouted out Fitzgerald and they're talking about him. They're like, dude, his name is just incredible. It's like, sounds like a old, like, Revolutionary War name.
Well, it's perfect for like that field general on the back end, right? At free safety, right? I mean, it does kind of make sense. It's just a guy holding that thing together and leading the secondary through it all. I think they're going to need him to play like the Admiral or the captain this week against C.J. Carr in that offense. But you never know. That's why they play the games.
All right, Dalton, let's flex the massive database that we have here at PFF by giving out our special teams for you guys, including long snapper. We'll get to that in a second. But Kansai Matsuzawa, the Tokyo Toe, is the best kicker in the country from Hawaii. How about Hawaii? The Rainbow Warriors have the best kicker in the country and the best punter in the country right now. Billy Gowers from Hawaii is also the highest graded punter so far. Vakari Swain is having a historic start as a return specialist this year for South Carolina. The best special teamer, Mason Carrier, linebacker from Minnesota, redshirt freshman, and the best long snapper in the country, because yes, here at PFF, we do have long snapping metrics. Jacob Graham from Texas A&M is the best long snapper in the country right now.
Love that. I mean, it's so important, especially with, Texas A&M. Look, lately they've been in some close, low-scoring games, kicking field goals. That matters, right? Everybody forgets about the operation, the process, and having a great long snapper like that. And honestly, you look at the contrast. Go back to their Notre Dame win when they didn't have a special teams flub, and then that 1 point difference in that game. What was that? Bad snap on an extra point from Notre Dame. So I mean, that it really does make a difference when you talk about these guys winning these awards. That even teams with good special teams. Vakari Swain, how valuable has he been to South Carolina, especially early this year? Hawaii, they're 5-2, and I would bet money their coaching staff would go, hey, big reason is we're playing great in the third phase. These things matter, right? And I know they don't matter maybe for as many snaps over the course of a game, but it's those little things that when you talk about a 1 point game, a 3 point game with a great kicker, that matters. You talk about it in the NFL a lot with guys like Brandon Aubrey for the Cowboys, right, and how valuable they are. Same goes for college, because the variance, and we know there's some teams in the country that, man, we can't find a kicker, or our operation on field goal or punt isn't as good. It matters when it comes to winning and losing games. So kudos to all of these guys right here for contributing in a way that all these teams are winning ball games with.
Yeah, Mason Carey has been outstanding, 90.8 special teams grade this year. Jacob Graham, 85.3 long snapping grade. That's nearly 5 points higher than any other long snapper in the country. Only one bad snap on 40 field goals and extra points this year, and only 3 bad snaps on 26 punts so far this year too. So he's been great for Texas A&M as a long snapper. We'll talk about the other guys later on in the award segment. Let's actually get to that award segment right now, Dalton. Start from the bottom, I would imagine. Save the best ones for the top. Let's get to the Frank Broyles Award right now, the best assistant coach in college football. I went with Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. This is an Ohio State defense that lost 8 starters from last year's national title-winning defense. All 8 of those guys were drafted, and you have a brand-new D coordinator. Okay, maybe some regression on that side of the ball. It's been even better this year. They're averaging like 7 points allowed per game right now. Caleb Downs has been great. You saw all those guys in the All-American team. Like, they have really done a great job of just finding new talent on that side of the ball too. So I went with Matt Patricia for just having maybe the best defense in the country with so many new faces on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you've got him. I think he is the right pick, considering you've got a team that's given up 41 points total in 6 games. It's just ridiculous. And this defense somehow looks even better than last year's unit that was outstanding and just loaded with NFL talent. Patricia, I think when you look at Blake Baker and what he's done with LSU's defense, I think that would make a lot of sense too. Mike Shanahan in this Indiana offense, just a ridiculous. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about Indiana the rest of the way, but there's some really good candidates as far as assistant coach that have done a great job. But Matt Patricia, and really both sides of coordinators, we had big questions about this. Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia. Okay, not only did you lose a boatload of NFL talent, you got 2 new coordinators, and both of those guys have responded as well as you possibly could, and it's why Ohio State looks like the best team in the country again.
We mentioned Shanahan from Indiana. Let's talk about Indiana right here. Coach of the Year award has to go to the guy who just got a massive extension at Indiana. He is staying with the Hoosiers, even with all the rumors around him in Florida, maybe him in Penn State or anything else. Chris Ignetti is staying with Indiana right now, and I think he's been the best coach in college football this year. And listen, Dalton, this guy won Coach of the Year for us last year too. You entered this year and you said, okay, you had a Cinderella run last year. You lost a lot of talent from last year's team. You never really beat, the top-notch teams. Yeah, you beat a 7-5 Michigan team, but you lost to Ohio State. You lost to Notre Dame. Can you beat the top-notch teams? Well, he proved last week he can. They beat number 3 Oregon. Indiana right now is the number 3 team in the country, their highest ranking in program history. So, it feels weird to give the Coach of the Year back-to-back years, because it feels like usually it's, okay, do you outperform expectations? So if you outperformed them last year, it's going to be hard to outperform them this year. Well, Cignetti has done just that for Indiana.
No, I think this is a race that's going to go down to the wire. It really is. I think Cignetti is a candidate, especially if they finish 12-0, and we'll see if they can eventually, do they have a shot to win the Big Ten? Could they take down an Ohio State in Indianapolis, right? I think some other guys I want to mention here. Joey McGuire, and we talked about Texas Tech prior to the season. So much talent, right? So much talent, but you got to go out there and win ball games. As dominant as Texas Tech looks, I think Joey McGuire is squarely in that conversation. I think for the halfway point, I think Kalani Sitake at BYU being 6-0 with a true freshman quarterback, winning a couple of big road games so far, I think if they were to finish maybe better than we expected, say if they even won the Big 12, I think Sitake would be in the mix. Tony Elliott at Virginia and the year they're having, possibly being in the ACC mix. I look at even, you think about teams that could make the playoffs. A guy that's in the spotlight maybe in coaching searches right now, Max, I look at even an Alex Golish from USF. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough American conference. Whoever wins that American conference and whoever makes the playoff from the group of five, I think that's going to be a thought. I really do. Or even if it was somebody from the Mountain West like Dan Mullen and UNLV, let's say they run the table. I think this is a wide open race, but Cignetti's a good call because they just haven't lost a step. They're looking better than last year.
Yep.
And now that win at Oregon, such a statement for him. It just got him $11.5 million a year, and he's going to be there for a long time. I just do love the fact that we're living in a college football world. We could now really be talking about Indiana as like a perennial sort of powerhouse, like Cignetti's talked about. It's just it's been a spectacular story to cover for the last year and a half, and I absolutely get the pick. I just think by the end of the season, boy, there's going to be a lot of arguments for probably at least a half dozen different guys.
Yeah, I think so far, halfway through the season, Indiana, what they've done so far has been unbelievable, just like last year, too, and the fact that they're number 3 in the country right now, and nobody really expected them to be this good. Everyone thought they'd be, like a top 20 team maybe once again, maybe like a 9-3, 8-4. Right now, they look like one of the best teams in the country and a legitimate national title contender this year. All right, let's get to the Joe Moore Award, given out to the best offensive line in college football. Donnie, who wasn't very happy with me for some earlier picks, Dalton, we're going with Iowa here. Iowa has easily the highest graded offensive line in the country right now, 91.3 offensive line grade, nearly 9 points higher than any other offensive line in America. Best run blocking grade in the country from an offensive line, and the third best pass blocking grade in the country from an offensive line. Logan Jones was my first team All-American center. And I'll tell you right now, Dalton, if we did a second team and a third team, we might get all 5 starters for Iowa in the second team and third team All-American.
What an unreal group this is. And making this pick, Max, you're making me look real good right now because this was my preseason pick for the Joe Moore Award, and they're right on track from it. I should say to it. They're right on track. There's a couple other offensive lines who have stepped it up lately. Oregon was in that mix with their pass protection. Failed them a little bit against Indiana, but they're still a really good unit. But no, this Iowa unit, I mean, this is the heart and soul of their football team, right? Obviously, they play great defense, but they want to get down and dirty with this offensive line. They want to run the football. And again, I think the adjustment last year when Tim Lester came in as their new offensive coordinator, and he modernized it just a little bit with more of this outside zone, this stretch, Kyle Shanahan kind of scheme. I think that really unlocked a lot of these athletes because they got these aren't just big linemen mauling you over. These are athletes that this team has on this offensive line. When you look at some of these guys, I think 1 or 2 of them even made Feldman's freak list, right? Yep. So when you look at some of these guys, they're athletic, they're great zone blockers, they're powerful, they execute, they do everything up front for this Iowa team, and they just need the players behind them to execute any given week.
Andrew Harbaugh saying death, taxes, and Iowa having a dominant offensive line every year are the 3 guarantees in life. Absolutely. Yep. Every single year it feels like. We'll see what happens this weekend with Iowa against Penn State. Should be a fascinating ball game tomorrow night, actually. All right, the Burlsworth Trophy, I think one of the coolest awards that we have in college football, given out to the best player who started his career as a walk-on. And Dalton, one of the guys on our All-American team, was a walk-on to start his career. That is Michael Taft, the safety from Texas. He's been the most valuable safety in America this year, according to PFF's wins above average metric. 5th best coverage grade among all safeties in the country this year. 3rd best run defense grade among all safeties in the country. So he's top 5 in run defense grade and in coverage grade. No other safety in America is in the top 10 for both of them. So Michael Taft, we knew he was a star entering the year. I believe he's actually both of our picks to win this trophy entering the year, and he has been amazing for that Texas defense so far.
If I remember right, the 2 guys that we talked about for this award were Taft and his teammate on the other side, tight end Jack Endries.
Yes.
Right? These are the 2 guys that we talked about. And Taft, I mean, he's just been unbelievable. I think you could argue he was the best player on the field in the Red River game against Oklahoma. Just the heart and soul of this defense, right? And I think, there's maybe even more talented players from, with the NFL perspective, with Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill and those guys, but Michael Taft is the glue that holds this thing together. And why? Look, Texas, they've struggled a bit early in this year. They're trying to figure some things out. It's not because of their defense, and it's certainly not because of their secondary. He holds this together. There's obviously a lot of other talented players back there, but the fact, too, that he has a 90 run defense grade when he's considered, this undersized, kind of, free safety kind of guy who you wouldn't want to put in too many of those spots, but he plays with every bit of heart and soul that he has, and he's an outstanding football player. All
right, let's get to the Shaun Alexander Freshman of the Year Award, given out to the best freshman in college football. Dalton, one guy who probably would have had minus odds for this award going into the year is Bryce Underwood. Well, we are giving out to a quarterback, but not Bryce Underwood, and it's actually still a Big Ten true freshman quarterback. That's Malik Washington from Maryland. Maryland won 4 games last year. They were 4-8. They're already 4-2 this season, so they matched their win total from last year, and I would say the biggest reason why is Malik Washington at quarterback. 82.1 passing grade. That's 21st among all quarterbacks in the country. 10 big-time throws are also a top 30 mark in America as well. He just seems like he's changed the culture of Maryland football this year. There are a bunch of guys that could have gone with here, like Malachi Toney, the receiver at Miami, or DeCorian Moore, the receiver at Oregon, or a bunch of other talented freshmen too. But I feel like what Malik Washington has done at Maryland has been the best of any freshman so far.
I know I've talked about him a lot this week. I think the Duke running back, Nate Shepard, is working his way into that mix. You've talked about Calvin Hawkins, the back from North Texas. But Washington and what he's done in this leadership role, we basically came into this year when we previewed Maryland and said, well, it's been rough, but maybe Malik Washington gives them the hope, right? And could you imagine the way we would be talking about Malik Washington and Maryland if they hadn't lost these last 2 games, these 2 close games that they've lost to Washington and to Nebraska? But either way, he's had an outstanding season. He really has. And when you talk about Mike Locksley in this program just having hope for not just this year, but the next couple of years with Washington at the helm, and he's so calm and cool. It's the calm and cool attitude, and it's the accuracy that do it for me. He just does not look like a freshman out there. I even think I saw that. I feel like I saw that in his spring tape where I was just like, this guy don't care. He's just out there just playing football. And he's done that every single week, win or lose. He's given it his best punch, and that's just a young team that needs to learn how to win some of those big games, but you feel like they're going to learn to do it behind Washington. We will see if they can bounce back this week against a hot team now at UCLA, but that's going to be a great football game. Either way, no matter how the rest of the season goes, and you do want to win a few more games and get to a bowl game, Maryland's got to feel good about the future right now.
Absolutely, yeah. He's been unbelievable for that program right now. And yeah, good shout out by Walt in the chat too. Bo Jackson, the running back at Ohio State, has been great for them this year too. But again, I just feel like Malik Washington, what he's done at that program, just completely turning it around this year. And they're going to be much better than what they were last year at 4-8. They're already 4-2 this year too. All right, let's get to one that was actually pretty easy, Dalton. And actually, I know a lot of people in the chat were upset that I didn't go with an Iowa player or anyone else over here. The Johnny the Jet Rodgers Award, given out to the best return specialist in college football. I went with Vakari Swain, the cornerback out South Carolina. This guy is having a historic start as a return specialist so far. 85.7 return grade is the best in college football. He has 3 punt returns for touchdowns so far through the midway point of the season. For reference, those 3 return touchdowns on punts are already the most since the 2017 season, and it's already tied for 18th all-time. I believe he's 2 punt return touchdowns away from the all-time record right now. So he's only halfway through the season, and he already brought back 3 punts for touchdowns. He's only 2 away from the all-time record.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's outstanding stuff early in the season from him. And credit to him, too, because he was a backup cornerback who's had to play a lot this year due to some injuries. So pulling double duty there. Swain has made an outstanding impact. Some of the other guys, I mean, you bring up a little bit here. Caden Wheatchin is obviously outstanding for Iowa. Colin Lacey for Louisville has 2 punt return touchdowns. And honestly, my new favorite name that I've just discovered in the past week that I love for Kent State, DeRealist Clark. 2 kick return touchdowns. Only player in the country with 2 kick return touchdowns this year. I just had to. I needed a chance to just get on here and say his name on this show because that just rocks. But no, I think Swain as the one guy with 3 return touchdowns and doing it early in the year, and the one against Virginia Tech in week 1, that was huge. That was arguably the biggest play of that game. So credit to Swain for all the work he's doing on special teams and on defense because he has played a big role on defense.
Like I said, he's on pace for 6 punt return touchdowns right now. That would be the all-time record if he keeps on pace for that. that. Like, it has been unreal what that guy has done as a returner for them this year. And we actually did get a DeReals Clark shout out in the chat earlier from Drake Holiday. Actually shouted him out earlier.
Drake knows ball, man. He's watching Kent State during the week, man. Love that.
All right, let's get to the first of 2 Hawaii awards here. The Ray Guy Award given out to the best punter in college football. That is Billy Gowers from Hawaii. Billy Gowers, 92 punting grade this year. That leads the country. Half of his 26 punts, so 13 of his 26 punts, have been downed inside the 20-yard line, too. So a lot of love for the Tokyo Toe right now, and deservedly so. We'll talk about him in a second. But Billy Gowers, also at punter, has been incredible for Hawaii this year.
Yeah, some of those things you measure for punters, because in the old days it was a lot of just, net yards and and all of that. But you mentioned it. Half his punts inside the 20, top 15 in hang time. We take all of these things into account with the punting grading. It's not just, it's not just one thing. It's distance and hang time and location. And those punts inside the 20 are extra valuable. Field position in any game is valuable. So a great job from Gowers so far, and this whole Hawaii unit so far, which we're not done talking about yet.
No, absolutely not. Let's get to that Lou Groza Award. Give it out to the best kicker in college football. We went with Kansei Matsuzawa, the Tokyo Toe from Hawaii, who I believe, Dalton, is 26 years old right now. I don't know if you knew that.
That's just, to me, first things first, that's the best nickname in college football right now.
The Tokyo Toe.
That just rocks.
It's up there with the Godfather, I would say, absolutely.
That's a good call, man.
We actually should do a best nickname award every year.
Oh, that's a good one.
That'd be a fun award.
But you can't have repeat winners.
Okay.
You got to pick a new. You can't have because you can't.
You can be Godfather.
I don't want to pick the same guy 3-4 years in a row. We can
do like Godfather Part 2 though, like the movie. That's the best movie of all time. For some people.
All right, I'm gonna be real with you.
You never seen them?
I've never watched The Godfather.
I watched them. I'll be real with you guys too. I watched them. Maybe it's because I'm just younger. I'm like, oh, these are good.
The one I get shredded for more often actually is that I've never watched any Lord of the Rings movies.
Neither have I.
I get shredded for that all the time.
And I love like fantasy stuff and sci-fi stuff. I also never seen them before either.
Okay, good. All right, we're in the same boat.
Wow, I'm going to get killed by the chat, I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm sure
I already know. For probably both of those things, yeah.
We're like Trevor. Trevor's never seen any movie, apparently.
Oh,
every movie I bring up to Trevor, he's like, yeah, I never seen it.
Even more so than me?
It's just you. Yeah, you and Trevor just watch tape, man, all the time. That's
honestly,
it. I have no excuse.
I've seen all the Star Wars.
I watch tape, but I could also like watch TV and watch movies and stuff.
Okay, I'm not cultured. We know this.
Let's get to Matsuzawa, the Tokyo Toe. 94 kicking grade this year, 2 points better than any other kicker in the country. He has not missed any of his 19 field goal attempts this year or any of his 19 extra points this year. That includes 8 field goals of 40-plus yards. That's tied for the most in the country, too. So the Tokyo Toe was the pretty easy choice for me to win the Lou Groza Award.
Yeah, I know. It feels like college kickers are better than ever, and on the whole, they probably are. But that's still, to me, an X factor a lot of times in college games is can you make field goals beyond 40? Can you make the tough ones? The fact that he's 8 for 8 beyond 40 yards, that makes a difference. And when you have a kicker with that level of ability, because in the NFL, basically everybody can kick, right? So you're like, okay, most coaches, maybe Brandon Aubrey, it's slightly different, or Chris Boswell, somebody like that, but most coaches have the same decision tree, really, when it comes to decisions on fourth down in the NFL. In college, if you have a good kicker, like a Matsuzawa, there's a handful of other guys every year throughout, but it changes the decisions. When you're on your opponent's 30 and it's maybe 4th and 4 and you go, there's some teams that are like, shoot, we got to go for it. When you have this guy, when you have the Tokyo Toe, nope, 3 points. Let's go. We'll move on. We'll keep playing defense. We'll play for the next possession. So it matters. It matters a lot when you talk about a kicker that's this reliable. So, again, credit to both Iowa's punt and kicking units because it's clearly, and they're 5-2, and they only have one loss in the Mountain West. And I know the Mountain West, we often resign it to Boise or UNLV. There's some other teams in the mix there, and Hawaii's in that mix right now.
We have some people in the chat. Donnie's saying you've never seen Lord of the Rings in all caps. And then one guy saying don't even bother with Lord of the Rings. Watch The Godfather again.
Oh, okay. All right.
So people that love The Lord of the Rings in the chat and people that don't love The Lord of the Rings in the chat right now.
All I've ever heard is that it takes a while.
My dad, every time I see my dad like, you've seen it yet? I'm like, no, I've not watched it yet.
Because what is it? Isn't it all of them are like, it's like 20 hours you have to dedicate to it or something?
And then there's like the Hobbit movies too. It seems like a whole endeavor. I don't know if I want to get into that.
You know me with whole endeavors, man. Yeah. I got to be right now. I watch Beavis and Butthead every Wednesday, man. That's Lord of the Rings.
To be fair, you and I are a fan of the FCU. We're fans of FCU, I should say. I'm still somewhat of a fan.
What?
The MCU.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's a lot of hours.
I've missed a few lately, but I've seen
just a lot of hours that we dedicate to that too. Yeah. But me, you, and Eli went to see the Fantastic Four a few months ago.
Good movie.
Great movie.
Solid movie.
Very good. Let's get to the Paul Hornung Award, given out to the most versatile player in the country. So Travis Hunter is no longer in college football, so we can't give him out this award, of course, every single year. We're going to go with actually Walt's guy in the chat. We're going to go with Hank Beatty, the wide receiver at Illinois. You saw him in the first team All-American offense for us at wide receiver, at flex, I should say. 86.6 PFF grade as fourth among all receivers in the country. 617 receiving yards, again, fourth among all receivers in the country. He's third in the nation in yards after the catch as well. And also, he has 170 punt return yards this year. That's seventh among all players in the FBS. And he's one of 13 players in the nation who's returned a punt for a touchdown this year, too. So for the most versatile player in the country, you got to do one of your jobs and then another one on top of it. And Hank Beatty's been a great receiver and punt returner for Illinois this year.
Bonus one, I want to throw out there the big Wildcat touchdown he had against Duke, a 25-yard rushing touchdown that I thought was one of the biggest plays in that game that really separated Illinois from Duke in that game. So you talk about just all the things they can do and such the impact that it's had for Illinois, because one thing we questioned coming into the year, how in the world are they going to replace Pat Bryant, Zachary Franklin, those two great receivers they had last year? Well, they've done it. We thought maybe Hudson Clement would play a factor in that. Colin Dixon's been good, but Hank Beatty's been aside, or right alongside Luke Altmaier, he's been Illinois' best offensive player this year. He's been outstanding, and like you mentioned, to do it in so many different roles, receiver, returner. If they need him apparently as a Wildcat quarterback, He can do that. Terrific year he's having on a really good Illinois offense.
All right, let's get to the Jim Thorpe Award, given out to the best defensive back in college football. A lot of guys to go with here, a lot of great corners and safeties, but we went with Mansour Delane from LSU. He has been the most valuable defensive back in the country this year, according to PFF's wins above average metric. He transferred to LSU from Virginia Tech. 90.3 PFF grade is the best among all Power 4 corners. He's only allowed 27% of his targets to be caught this year, which is fourth in the FBS. And the stat that I always love, Dalton, opposing quarterbacks have a 22.7 passer rating when throwing at Mansour Delane. If you spike the ball every play, you get a 39.6 passer rating. So basically, spiking the ball every play is a 17-point better passing rating than throwing at Mansour Delane this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is among the toughest awards to pick out because we got some excellent football players in the secondary. Bishop Fitzgerald, we mentioned from USC, the safety earlier with 5 interceptions. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren from Toledo, we love him. I mean, forcing fumbles and doing everything that he does. Michael Taff, Antoine Peak, and the work he does, at least in run defense. Not big coverage numbers, but that's a name you need to know from Cincinnati. Leonard Moore is going to be in that mix, right? I mean, he's till the end of the year because he's, I would argue, the best corner in the country, but the combination of the grading and the numbers and a couple of guys, not just Delane, but the turnaround in that LSU secondary. I've said this over and over. The LSU secondary and what they're doing in coverage this year, and Blake Baker is doing with them in coverage with Delane, A.J. Halsey, Tamarcus Cooley, all those guys on the back end, they've been one of the best units in the country this year, when over the last couple of years, they certainly were not. I mean, it was the reason that they missed the playoff the last couple of years. So I think the turnaround in Delane representing that for their team and their defense, that's big time as well, and he's just been outstanding. He looks like a first-round pick so far this year.
He does, yeah. Let's get to the best linebacker in college football, the Butkus Award, and your guy, Dalton, Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. 91.6 PFF grade this year, the highest of any linebacker in the country by over 2 points. 93.9 run defense grade is the best in the nation as well. 89.7 coverage grade is fourth among all linebackers in the country. He's the only linebacker in the country to be in the top 15 of both run defense grade and coverage grade. He's in the top 5 for run defense grade and coverage grade this year. 2 interceptions as well, tied for the most in the nation among all linebackers. So Jacob Rodriguez, as a run defender, as a coverage player, as a pass rusher sometimes too, he has been outstanding for Texas Tech this year.
You look at just some of the baseline numbers, right? He's got 2 interceptions. Yeah. All right, that's cool. He's got 2 pass breakups. He's got 2 forced fumbles. He's got a sack. He's got a great coverage grade. He's got a great run defense grade. I mean, Jacob Rodriguez, if there's anybody who's benefited from this Texas Tech defensive line, aside from those guys themselves playing great, it's Jacob Rodriguez, because he's just flying to the football, fearless, because nobody's getting on the second level to go get him, so he's free to make plays and just be a heat-seeking missile to the football. He's been unreal, and I think that's a big thing that needs to keep getting mentioned with Texas Tech. The D-line, the sacks, the pressure, that's going to get talked about on every outlet this year, but this guy right behind it, especially with that run, a 93.9 run defense grade, especially because some teams, you can take their defensive line and go, okay, they can rush the passer. We're going to punch them in the mouth. We're going to run right at them. No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not with Jacob Rodriguez right back there behind it, hunting your running back. So he's just done an unbelievable job as the captain in the middle of an elite defense this year. Easily the best defense in the Big 12 and one of the, 3 or 4 best in college football this year?
Absolutely.
Them,
at least top 3.
Ohio State, Miami, Indiana, probably somewhere like that mix right there. I mean, just unbelievable stuff from Texas Tech's defense, and Rodriguez at the middle of it all. It's just been outstanding.
Leroy Jenkins in the chat saying J-Rod for Heisman right now. We are open to defensive players winning the Heisman here at PFF. I will say that.
We sure
We'll show
are.
that later on in the show.
The door is at least open.
We are showing that.
We appreciate that. I mean, technically, Travis Hunter did it last year.
It's true.
I mean, I know it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
But it's not like he wasn't arguably the best corner in the country.
That's true.
You know.
Walt in the chat saying he thought an Ohio State linebacker would win Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. Again, I considered both those guys. They've both been outstanding for them this year.
If you want another guy, I've talked about him a lot this year. Another guy just racking up stats that's going to get people's attention. How about number 24, Mack Harris from USF?
Mack Harris.
15 pressures, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and an interception and a pass. Mack Harris is a guy, if you look at a lot, and he's the second highest graded linebacker in the country behind Jacob Rodriguez. That's a guy for USF's defensive turnaround. That's a big story. Mack Harris is in that mix.
C.J. Allen from Georgia. Torian York right now is the second most valuable linebacker in the country behind Jacob Rodriguez right now, too, I believe. So,
Jake Golday from Cincinnati.
Jake Golday has been unreal.
Yeah,
he was unreal when we went to that game against Iowa State, too. So, Rodriguez wins, but it's still a very wide-open race at linebacker. But Rodriguez right now is the highest-graded linebacker in the country. We went with him for that award right there. We'll skip this one for now, Dalton. We'll just say what it is, though. The Ted Hendricks Award for Best Defensive End in the country. Rueben Bain Jr. from Miami won that. We will talk about Rueben Bain Jr. later on in the show. That's why we're going to skip that award right there. The Rimington Award, given out to the best center in the country, and they are actually an award, Dalton, that I would say partners with us the most here at PFF. They use a lot of PFF grades and insights, so we appreciate the good people at the Rimington Award for that. We went with Logan Jones from Iowa, the center from Iowa, 83.7 PFF grade this year, 3 points better than any other center in college football. 78.6 run blocking grade is the highest in the country. 85.7 pass blocking grade is 5th among all centers in the country. Only 2 pressures allowed on 171 pass blocking snaps this year. Logan Jones was seen as one of the best centers in the country entering the year, and he's been the best center in the country so far this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and again, this is somebody who may be a little bit undersized, but he's a darn good athlete and a perfect fit in this Tim Lester outside zone scheme. I think you just talk about a guy who's, you've got some different types of players on this Iowa offensive line, but I think Jones is just such a perfect fit for their system and everything that he does. And in pass protection is still only allowed 2 pressures. So there's some who are going to be concerned about maybe his a little bit smaller size and things like that at the NFL level. But listen, you don't give up pressure somehow, some way. You can pass protect, you got value in the league, right? And again, I think it could be for the same type of team when you talk about one of those Shanahan scheme outside zone teams, but doing it at an elite level right now. Some other really good names in that mix: Brady Wilson for Virginia, who we knew about before at UAB. Jake Slaughter is always going to be in that mix, considering the teams that he plays and how good he is. But Jones, this is well deserved, big time. Him and that entire Iowa offensive line have been outstanding.
You know, Dalton, a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about the highest graded center for PFF in the country from Iowa, and why he was a little undersized. And Tyler Linderbaum, he's been pretty good in the NFL.
That guy's pretty good.
So I would say, I know there might be some size concerns for Logan Jones, but let the grade speak for himself.
You're darn right. I mean, and listen, Iowa, you can't go wrong drafting an
I don't think he's been as good as Linderbaum. Like, Linderbaum was like the best player in college football.
That's an even different level than this. But look, you want a good football player, draft an Iowa offensive lineman.
Yep.
That's been shown for a long time.
If we did our show back then, we would have had some Linderbaum Heisman campaign stuff. The way he was grading out for us, because his grade was just outrageous.
We could do it retroactively if you want. I mean, we could go back and just say Linderbaum.
That would
whatever year that was, 2020.
Yeah, that would rule. Yeah, who was the 2020 Heisman that year?
One of the quarterbacks. I think.
It was that the Bryce Young year, I believe. I think it might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, it was Devontae Smith was the COVID year.
One day, Max, we will start the revolution. We will get an offensive lineman to win the Heisman. I know you mentioned Penei Sewell that last year. I mean,
that was incredible. His sophomore year,
we're going to get an offensive lineman a Heisman 1 year. That'll be before we're dead. We're going to do that.
So the Rotary Lombardi Award given out to the best lineman in college football, offensive or defensive. Again, Rueben Bain Jr., the edge rusher from Miami, because edge rushers are included in that. Let's talk about the offensive lineman here, though, Dalton, for the Outland Trophy Best Interior interior lineman in the country. So basically, any offensive lineman and any defensive tackle. Edge rushers are not included here, which is why Rueben Bain Jr. is not winning this award. So since Rueben Bain Jr. is not eligible for this award, we gave it to Brian Parker, the offensive tackle at Duke, 93.5 PFF grade this year, 3 points better than any other offensive lineman in the nation. 94 run blocking grade is over 4 points higher than any offensive lineman in the nation, and he still has not given up a sack or a hit on 229 pass blocking snaps this year. So Brian Parker, who some people think, Dalton, might be like his another former Duke tackle, and Grant Barton might be a center in the NFL long term because of some size limitations, but Brian Parker, wherever he plays in the NFL, he is an incredible offensive line for Duke.
And the fact that right now he's standing pretty clearly above a great group of guys. You look at even just the top graded guys at offensive tackle behind him. Keegan Trost for Missouri has been outstanding. J.C. Davis for Illinois. Spencer Fano, Francis Mauanoa, both in the top 8, just behind Parker at that top slot. I mean, and again, I watch it this week against Georgia Tech. Duke's run game and the emergence of Nate Shepard behind Brian Parker and this offensive line making a massive, massive difference for this team. It's why they look so much better the last few weeks. That's why these things matter and awards like this matters, because great offensive linemen, maybe you got to tweak some things with the scheme and find some athletes that are working for you. But when you have a great offensive lineman like this and a great unit up front like this, you can find a way to create offense and win ball games.
Yeah, obviously all the guys on my All-American team, they were up for this award too, obviously. And also want to shout out one guy whose run blocking grade wasn't good enough to make the All-American team, but he has been the best pass blocker in the country this year. Jordan Seaton, the left tackle for Colorado. Dude, that guy, I think 1 pressure allowed this year so far, right?
Yeah, outstanding. So 1 pressure allowed this year. He's been the best pass protector in college football. I think bar none.
By the way, for
unreal.
2027 draft guys, that's a top 10 pick right there.
That's and you can get him stronger, and I know he's put on a lot of weight this year. You can get him stronger, and Colorado's run game has been a work in progress. But to me, I think brick wall, man, on that blind side. If Colorado had this level of pass protection last year, we can only be left to wonder, because as a unit, their pass protection's been outstanding, but Seaton's been unreal when it comes to pass pro.
Yeah, the run blocking is why he got held back a little bit and why I didn't make my first team All-American, but he has been the best pass blocker in college football this year too. All right, let's get to the John Mackey Award. Give it out to the best tight end in college football. A bunch of guys to go with here, but I went with Michael Trigg, the tight end from Baylor. He leads all tight ends in the country this year with 439 receiving yards, second among all tight ends in the country this year with 8 forced missed tackles, and he's been the 3rd most valuable tight end in America, according to PFF's wins above average metric.
Yeah, no, I think, look, it's been a long road for Trigg, and you see certain plays where you just go, man, this guy's a freak. He's kind of got that flex out thing like your guy from Syracuse, Rondé Gadsden, had, putting up a lot of those numbers. But no, I mean, you see certain plays after the catch, and you see just the big body, the frame, the wingspan, the things he can do out in the open. I mean, Baylor's got a high-flying offense, no question, but, they got a ton of receivers, but he's a big part of that. I think some other guys in that mix, I think Daquan Wright is somebody for Ole Miss who's played really well. Jaron Kanek for Oklahoma's been really good, but Trigg, the volume he's getting in that offense, I think it is a good pick to win this award. And so often it does just come down to this award, who's got the most yards there at tight end. Maybe that's not fair totally sometimes, but Trigg certainly has had a great year for Baylor.
Yeah, most yards, still like a 78 PFF grade, which I believe is top 10 in the country too. So he's grading out well. He's got the stats to prove it too. So yeah, I went with Michael Trigg, but it is a wide open award right now at tight end, I would say. Biletnikoff Award, give it out to the best receiver in the country. Tight ends are included if you want for them here, but you have to go with, in my opinion, Mackay Lemon, the wide receiver at USC. Not only is he the highest graded receiver in the country, but also he has the most yards among all Power 4 receivers this year. The second most yards after the catch in the nation this year, and the second most forced missed tackles in the nation this year too, Dalton. This guy, it seems like every single time USC needs a big third down conversion, they throw it up to Mackay Lemon, which is crazy considering he's like, 5'11", 180 pounds. He should not be this 50-50 receiver, and yet he's mossing defensive backs out there.
He's unbelievable. I mean, you talk about the route running, the explosiveness, the ability to win contested. He's 4 for 6 on contested targets, which, I mean, obviously small sample, but you mentioned it. It's not like he's one of those big 6'5" freaks. He's not Jeremiah Smith.
Not
right?
Jacoby Lane either.
He's not even Jacoby Lane, right? I mean, as far as as size goes, but no, he's been unbelievable. When you look at just some of these numbers, and look, it's not just volume USC offense, 4.16 yards per route run, 6th most in the country.
Yeah.
So he's doing it in an efficient manner and an explosive one. That's as good as it gets right there. Lead the nation receiving grade. Second behind Nick Marsh and tied with Mario Craver with 15 missed tackles forced. He can make it happen after the catch. At all levels of the field right now, Mackay Lemon is a problem. And you mentioned it earlier with the matchup with Notre Dame. If we do get Leonard Moore moving into the slot a little bit to deal with this guy, but think about that. Notre Dame comes into this week feeling like, hey, and they've said this out, we might have to change our entire defensive structure
for this guy
to cover this guy. Because we only have one guy who maybe one-on-one can cover him. Maybe, right? And Leonard Moore, what a matchup. You go, those are the types of receivers you want. They change everything that a defense has to do. Mackay Lemon's he's been incredible, no question. And he's USC's best player in a super explosive offense.
I mean, if you look at the NFL right now, some of the best receivers in the NFL are guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba from the Seahawks, right? Emeka Egbuka from the Buccaneers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another USC slot receiver on the Lions right now. Yes, you still want the freak X receivers like a Jeremiah Smith or like a Julio Jones or Calvin Johnson, but there's so many ways to win at receiver nowadays. I think it'd be foolish if a guy like Mackay Lemon was not a top 15 pick in this draft. The way he's playing right now, you can have your slot receiver be your best receiver and still have a great offense in the NFL.
You think about guys and what it allows you to do so much with motion and things like guys like St. Brown, Puka Nacua is another one, and McVay just puts him anywhere. CeeDee Lamb coming back this week for the Cowboys and the dimension that adds for that offense. You have a guy like Lemon who you can put anywhere on the field and feel great about him winning that battle or against zone coverage, finding that space. That's a weapon. That is an absolute weapon. It's something that I really like that's been appreciated more in recent years. I think there are past years where Lemon, they would just go, oh, maybe the size, whatever it is, 5'10", 190 or whatever it is, and just go, all right, he's a slot guy. Give me him in this late second or third. No, this is a top 15 to 20 player in the country. No question that he should be drafted like that for the weapon that he is.
Absolutely. So he wins the Biletnikoff Award for the best receiver in the country. The Doak Walker Award given out to the best running back in college football. We went with Ahmad Hardy from Missouri. Leads all running backs this year in the country with a 91.2 PFF rushing grade this year. He's a true sophomore, transferred to Missouri this year. He also leads the Power 4 with 783 rushing yards and 49 forced missed tackles. 606 yards after contact this year, too, are the most among all running backs in America. Just seeing Ahmad Hardy coming from Louisiana Monroe and just what he's done from his true freshman year. He was great as a true freshman at Louisiana Monroe. Then he goes up to the SEC as a true sophomore at Missouri, and he's still now I would say the best running back in the country.
Yeah, I think, sometimes when when people ask about, say our rushing grades with running backs and things like that, and three big measures of what you have to do. Okay, you have to create yards after contact. You got to make people miss, and you got to give us explosive runs, right? The more of those 10-plus yard runs that you give us, those three things are going to play a big factor. Let's look at Ahmad Hardy. He leads the Power 4 in yards after contact. He leads the Power 4 in missed tackles forced, and he's got 22 leads the Power 4 in explosive runs. All three of those categories, by the way, behind a candidate that some G5 people are going to talk about. How about the year Cam Cook at Jacksonville State's having? He's the one guy in the country ahead of Hardy in basically any category, but no, Ahmad Hardy behind an excellent offensive line, by the way. We're going to find out how good Hardy is and if he can finish this off the second half of their SEC schedule, starting against a really good defense, or front seven, I should say, with Auburn this week on the road. But no, Hardy's just been incredible. You mentioned it, coming up from Louisiana Monroe. You couldn't ask for any more than he's given you. And Missouri's run game as a whole is just terrific.
Yeah, he's the best running back in America right now. He's going to enter probably next year's junior year as the best running back in America from Missouri, too. He's been unreal for them this year. All right, Davey O'Brien Award, given out to the best quarterback in the country. Again, this is a wide-open award. Every week it seems like it changes. For me, and I know a lot of other people might say Ty Simpson, or maybe some people still say Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore. I went with Julian Sayin, the quarterback from Ohio State, the quarterback on the number one team in the country right now, the best passing grade in the country, 91 passing grade this year. Also, the most accurate quarterback in America this year. He leads the country with an 84% adjusted completion rate and a 78% completion rate this year. He also leads all Power 4 quarterbacks in passer rating this year too. So Julian's saying, I don't think he's gotten enough Heisman love right now. Right now, I would say he has been the best quarterback in the country.
He's been unreal, and I think the one thing that lags behind maybe some other guys are the big-time throws. Only 6 of them compared to some other guys that have maybe 12, 13, 14. But the deadly level of accuracy, I've talked about it, a Drew Brees level of precision. He is, by completion percentage, adjusted completion percentage, or our quarterback charting with our accuracy, Max, he is still – for our accuracy metrics, 5% more accurate than any other quarterback in college football. No, he just does things at such a precise manner. And I was talking to some Ohio State guys about this recently, and they were like, it feels like the one thing left for Sayin is to just do it in, say, a big moment, right? Maybe it's at Michigan at the end of the year. Maybe it's the Big Ten title game. Like, you feel like you want to see 1 or 2 more, call it Heisman or in this case Davey O'Brien type moments for him, because a lot of things for Ohio State, other than the Texas game, have been easy, right? Yeah. Yes, I mean, I can't even imagine having to narrow this down to 1. I mean, I just look at even the highest graded guys right now. I look at the number of guys playing so well. Joey Aguilar's been great. Jaden Mayava's been great. Ty Simpson's been great. You look at some of the numbers, and he's sneaky, and they don't have the best record in the country. Darian Mensah for Duke has been outstanding. Tommy Castellanos, they're not losing games because of him. They're putting up 30-plus every single week, right? So, you look at this award, it starts to feel like at the end of the year, there will be a narrative bit to this award and possibly the Heisman. And there's always a narrative bit to the Heisman as well. But there are a lot of quarterbacks at the top of college football playing really good and just so close together. Yeah. I think there's 10 or 12 guys for this that you could go, well, that's at least the case, honestly. But he's unbelievable. And I'll say this as far as a sort of moment goes, and it's kind of backwards because it's not putting up outstanding numbers or a game-winning drive. I do think to this point his biggest moment has still been the Texas game and being up only 14, winning that game only 14-7, and Ryan Day and Brian Hartline getting him to understand the assignment and just go, hey, man, we just need you to keep your cool. It's not going to be your day-to-day. We got some coming for you. Don't you worry. But I think the fact that he can keep his composure and do that, again, for a redshirt freshman, his first career start, that's big time too. So I think we could have the arguments about which quarterback and which numbers and all of that, but I think Sayin is a worthy pick. I think I get the argument for him, absolutely, when you talk about just what he's done and how clean it's been so far. Yeah, absolutely. I just think anyone who's saying, oh, well, he hasn't had the Heisman moment this year. Yeah, his Heisman moment is killing every one of these top 25 teams they're playing. Look, that's his Heisman moment. You know how it goes in Ohio State. He's going to get an at Michigan, trying to break the streak, and he's going to get a Big Ten title game against a really good team, whether that's in Indiana or in Oregon or whoever that may be. So there's gonna the moments are coming. Yeah, they're coming. Don't you worry. I hope people will think, oh, him not playing in close games doesn't mean it doesn't have a Heisman moment. His Heisman moment is just torching these defenses like Illinois and Minnesota out here too. But yeah, Julian's saying best quarterback in the country right now. Final 2 ones, we can combine them right here. The Chuck Bednarik Award, the Bronco Nagurski Trophy for the best defensive player in the country, and also Dalton, the Heisman Trophy and Maxwell Award for the best player in the country all go to the same player, Rueben Bain Jr., the edge rusher from Miami. So if the Heisman Trophy, by definition, is supposed to go to the most outstanding player in college football, we here at PFF would argue that has been Rueben Bain Jr. so far. 95.2 PFF grade this year, the best among all players in America. He leads all edge rushers in America in run defense grade and places 5th in pass rush grade. And Miami has been one of the best teams in the country so far. The reason why is their dominance in the trenches on the defensive line and along the offensive line too. So he has the narrative too, because that really is why Miami is this good. I would argue right now, and it's still a wide open race, Julian Sayin could absolutely take this over later on. But Rueben Bain Jr., I would argue right now, has been the most outstanding player in college football, which is what the Heisman is supposed to go to. Not the most valuable player in the country, the most outstanding player in the country. I would say that's Rueben Bain Jr. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's a fun argument, too, even just for the defensive line stuff, because you go, Bain is a player who only has 3 sacks this year. We kind of did this a bit with Mason Graham the last couple of years, too. Didn't have a ton of sacks. But Rueben Bain, he's only got 3 sacks compared to, say, David Bailey has 9, okay? And you look at that and you would go, well, Bailey's got a lot more pressures and sacks, right? And the win rates are actually right next to each other in pass rush win rate. So you look at that angle and you would go, well, Bailey's got to have the edge, right? In the old days, that's all it would be is, well, how many sacks does this guy have, right? But you look at Bain and the impact and the grades and the win rates and you go, what? not only outstanding, I think that's the word for me with Bain, is impactful. What does he set up for the rest of his defense? What does he do to make quarterbacks nervous? And you can feel it. When you watch these quarterbacks play against Miami, they are nervous. It's Bain, it's Mesidor, it's Moton.
I wonder what their average time to throw is against Miami. It's got to be one of the lowest in the country.
I need to look at that because I remember when I did that for Michigan last year, it was like something crazy, like 2.25 or something.
Yeah.
The way that he impacts offenses and the amount you have to think about him is huge. And a big thing for me that really it was hard to quantify in years past before we started doing this is the run defense. He's got a 92 run defense grade. I mean, he's arguably the best run defender of any defensive lineman in the country this year, and that matters. I mean, when you look at having to play this Miami team, and I know every time we do a Miami preview, we trust me, we want to talk about the entire team and all of these things, but when you play Miami, no matter who you are, your first question is, how in the world are we going to block these guys? How are we going to do it? And it starts with number 4, both in the run game and the pass game. So he may not end the year leading the nation in pressures or even leading the nation in sacks. That might be David Bailey. But you talk about snap-to-snap impact, which is honestly what our grades try to measure, both run defense and pass rush, and then combine it all into the overall. Nobody's doing it better than Rueben Bain. And that's why I completely – he probably in reality will not win it.
No,
I would doubt it. But I'm with you, the most outstanding, and I would argue the most impactful player in college football this year has been Rueben Bain. It's a great call.
I think plenty of people are actually joining us in the national media right now. Like movement's starting right now, Rueben Bain Jr. So I think we could get him to New York. I think it's possible to get him to New York.
I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, both pass rushing and run defense. The elite run defense is something I refuse to let go of because
they run away from him. I want people to understand, because I know the sack total is it looks like what it is, whatever. They run away from him. They double team him all the time too. There's a reason why his total numbers, his box score numbers aren't as good as some other players. He is getting double teamed and run away from him in every single play, and he's still making an impact every single time.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, and you talk about moments, and I think it's a moment more so sometimes for the Miami defensive line. I just look at sometimes, they dominated Florida from the first snap of the game. They have a great offensive line up down there at Florida. Dominated from the first snap of the game. Think about the last stand against Notre Dame. Right? I mean, but they lose the lead. Carson Beck brings them down for a field goal, and then they get that stop against Notre Dame because C.J. Carr's just got no time to work with. It's moments like that for Miami. I mean, Florida State, look what they did to Florida State in that high-flying offense for the first 3 quarters of that game. That's unreal. Nobody else, even Florida State has lost their other 2 games, but they were shootouts. I mean, you lock down offenses like that, and it starts up front. Unbelievable stuff, and you can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. It's why we talk about it every week. Just their presence up front. Them and Texas Tech are the 2 teams where I go, boy, you start sweating a little bit back there. You can see these guys sweating because they know, boy, these are monsters. These are NFL defensive linemen. Bain and that whole Miami D-line has just been unreal this year.
Anyone who's doubting Rueben Bain Jr. and why he's one of the best players in the country, tune in tonight to the Louisville-Miami game and watch number 4 for Miami because he has been the most outstanding player in the country. Could have another big game against Louisville tonight. But that wraps up our midseason All-American team and our midseason awards. Reminder to you guys, we still have another show in a couple days on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, we will be doing the show because Dalton missed the parlay leg. So the no Sunday show parlay is dead. We have to come and do the show on Sunday. We have to do our jobs on Sunday, unfortunately. So we will be doing the show on Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on this channel, breaking down what should be a wild, wild Week 8 of college football. 5 ranked games this weekend, the most we've had all season. It's going to be chaotic. Can't wait to break it all down with you guys on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time right here on the PFF College Football Show. For producer Eli back there, for Dalton Wasserman, I'm Max Chadwick. We'll see you guys on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And once again, thank you guys again for getting us to 30,000 subscribers very recently.